Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another edition of The Gift of Gab. Today I want to talk about your hireability, literally meaning how hireable are you right now as a voice actor? Let's find out. There's a lot of different ways to tell if you are hireable, and I think one of the best is to talk about what's happening with your audio, specifically in post after you record. If you're spending a crazy amount of time finessing, tweaking, EQing, fixing your audio, dealing with pops, clicks, plosives, that was a little redundant, but you get the idea, you're probably not as hireable as you might think. Here's why. You see, all that minutia that I'm talking about, all that stuff, that tweaking that you're doing, is actually an indicator that your work probably needs more fine-tuning in the pre-department as opposed to the post-department, because post costs everybody time and money, even you. You want to get your material, your audio, to a place where it's just faster and more efficient. If you're doing so much work in post, think about the amount of work that your client is potentially having to do in post as well to make your audio sound usable. All of that correcting and auto-healing and processing and declicking really, in a sense, means that what you're doing is photoshopping your audio. Let me explain what I mean. So, of all things, years ago, I watched an episode of America's Next Top Model, and I remember something that stood out from the episode that was very, very specific. And Tyra Banks was talking to a contestant, and she was talking about how this girl, who was basically an unknown aspiring model, her pictures were okay, but the photographers and the team were having to spend an outrageous amount of time photoshopping and finessing and perfecting her photos in post. And the point that Tyra was making to this particular person was that because they were spending so much time in post-production on her photos, it made her less desirable. It made her less usable as an on-camera talent. We can kind of glean from that in the audio world. It's sort of the same thing. If a producer is going to have to spend crazy amounts of time tweaking, changing, editing, finessing, photoshopping your audio, then you become a bit of a liability, right? You're costing them time and money. It's much easier for them to say, yeah, they were nice, but next time let's hire somebody with a bit more experience, or maybe somebody who's just a bit more technically perfect on the front end. This way we don't have to do all of that stuff. Point is, you can use this as an indicator. You can basically kind of use it as a little bit of a litmus test to say, hey, if I'm having to spend all this crazy amount of time in post, maybe I need to focus more on perfecting my skills in the booth so that I can minimize some of those errors, so that I can make applicable changes, and ultimately just make it so that my audio, raw, right out of the studio, is much better shape and much easier to use. So devoting more time to your pre-production and your time in the studio recording is going to have a much, much bigger, greater impact on your post later, and the post, of course, for your clients. So I hope this helps. If you want more tips and tricks like this, you can check out this video here. And don't forget, you can always get in touch with me for a class where we can do some one-on-one time, and I can help you perfect these techniques too. Bye.
Well, I have a wonderful electronic invention I want you to see. It looks something like this.